It was completely unexpected. I just wanted updates. Now where I'm texting Zach, one of the intended parents, literally every day.
When people think about egg donation, they often assume that keeping distance is the safest option, worrying that connection could become emotionally complicated. But Morgan's story challenges that assumption. Morgan was an egg donor in a known donor cycle, and instead of distance or confusion, she developed a close, healthy relationship with the hopeful parents, one that feels grounded, joyful, and clear.
It was like I'm holding someone else's, I'm holding my friend's baby, basically. Like, love her, she's cute, but like, friend's baby.
That distinction matters. In this conversation, Morgan shares what her donation cycle was actually like, how boundaries formed naturally, and why closeness didn't blur roles, it strengthened trust. If you're curious about egg donation, wondering what known donation could look like, or questioning whether connection has to mean emotional risk, this conversation is for you. Enjoy. Okay, so just right off the bat, when it comes to egg donation, it's really often talked about in like very clinical terms. But one
Hmm.
thing that I think is really unique about your story is how close you became with the family that you actually donated to. Can
Hmm.
you share just a little bit about that relationship and what it looked like and kind of how that evolved over time?
Yeah, absolutely. It has been amazing. So I donated in 2024, and then we used the donor sibling registry, which I was on. And then in January of this year, actually, the intended parents reached out to me on the donor sibling registry. And from there, we just started chatting, and then we exchanged numbers. And then when they had their daughter, they invited me to come meet her at the hospital, which was amazing. Like, I did not expect that. And then from there, like, we just clicked, and it's just been like the most amazing relationship.
Absolutely amazing. It's part of our program that everybody, whether you're doing a unidentified or known cycle, you will, be established on the donor sibling
Mhm.
registry. When you were doing that, what were kind of your thoughts whenever it came to like what a relationship would look like or just really what that connection would even be?
Yeah, it was completely unexpected. I mean, I had hoped that we would have some kind of contact, even if we just stayed on the donor sibling registry anonymous. Like, I just wanted updates. Like, I wanted to know if they were pregnant, like if it was successful, and if they had a baby and what gender the baby was, and maybe a picture would be nice. But now I'm texting Zach, one of the intended parents, literally every day. We just got off the phone earlier. He lives in Florida. They live in Florida near my parents. So, like, when I visit my parents, I get to go see them. Like, it's just been amazing.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, again, something that is just so unique and amazing is the fact that they invited you to
Mhm.
be at the birth. What did that moment mean to you?
That was really special and sweet because, again, I didn't expect this kind of relationship with them.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, I'm very happy with it, but I was just like, wow, like, are you sure you want me to come up there? And they're like, yeah, come to the hospital. We have an extra, guest on our guest list, so we'll write you down. And she was in the NICU for a little bit, so I got to go up there a few times and hang out with them. And just over those few days at the hospital, like, we just became so close.
How did
Yeah.
you emotionally prepare for that? Or did you even have to?
I didn't know what to expect, honestly, because I've never done this. So, I think I thought that I would feel really emotional and connected, but
Mhm.
when I met the baby, it was kind of just like I always tell people, I'm like this. It's like it was like I'm holding someone else's. I'm holding my friend's baby, basically. Like, love her, she's cute, but like, friend's baby. So, yeah, that was different than expected. But of course, as I've gotten to know Zach and Scott more and like become closer with them, now I just love them and their family and their baby so much. So, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. A lot of people, and I mean, I know even like I've been lucky enough to, speak with your intended parents, and I know kind of in the beginning there was a little bit of a hesitation,
Right.
like, and by beginning I mean like way back when,
Way back,
before,
yeah.
yeah, way back when they were like, what, how would we navigate a relationship with a
Yeah.
donor? And a lot of, donor families do feel like it could be emotionally complicated. How
Hmm.
have you guys kind of navigated, just what that looks like, and um maybe boundaries,
Hmm.
or just what does that connection look like
Hmm.
as that relationship has evolved?
Yeah, I feel like I've really just let them lead it from the beginning because this is their family, their baby, and I've just felt lucky to be even a tiny part of that, even if it was just going to be texts and emails every once in a while. But yeah, I've let them lead it, and I've tried to, set boundaries myself and just not, I don't know, just let them be in charge of that relationship, and it's just become so much more than I think any of us ever expected. So,
Yeah. What boundaries
mhm.
were important to you as a donor?
Really, I didn't, maybe the boundaries I set weren't for me, I would say. Like, I tried to give them space. Like, they text as soon as she was born, they texted me and were like, "Hey, she's here." And I just tried to give them space. I waited for them to text me. I knew it was a crazy time. They were busy. She was in the NICU. They had to fly from out of state. I just I just tried to let them lead every conversation. I didn't push. I didn't ask like, "Can I come see her? Can I come hang out?" Like, I wanted to let them like lead the relationship, and whatever they were comfortable with, I was comfortable with. So,
I love that.
mhm.
What has kind of the family support been like? You mentioned, they're like close to your mom, and so you're visiting
Mhm.
them, and
Mhm.
just what has that like? What have your family and friends kind of thought with this type of relationship?
Yeah, my family and friends are great. They're all so supportive and excited and happy for me because they were, along for the journey when I was doing the egg donation and the retrieval, and they all knew like that I wanted some sort of contact with them, and they would always ask me for updates like, "Do you know anything yet? Like, what's going on? What's the update?" So now that I have this relationship with them, everyone's just like, "This is amazing. This is what you wanted. This is better than what you wanted." And yeah, and I mean, when I'm in Florida, we get together, like my family hangs out with them, and it's really cool. It's been really fun.
That is so fun.
Hmm.
Again, something that's just so beautiful about who you are. Before you were an egg donor, you actually helped create family through adoption. You've
Hmm.
been a surrogate, and having experienced both of when it came to the adoption, being a birth mother
Hmm.
and then being an egg donor.
Hmm.
How do you understand the difference between those roles for yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the way I look at it is the adoption, that was an unplanned pregnancy at 17. That's my child, my son, that I carried for 9 months. And I made the decision to place him for adoption versus egg donation was like from the beginning. I knew like I'm donating my eggs. This is not my child. She's not my daughter. And I think it was, it's different. Like, I didn't carry her. I didn't feel her grow in my belly. I didn't, give birth to her. It's just a different dynamic, different relationship, and different circumstances and emotions involved. So I think because one was unplanned and one was like a conscious decision I made, that helped a lot with like the emotions and all that.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get right back to the show in just a second. But real quick, have you ever thought about doing something truly meaningful for someone else? At Egg Donor and Surrogate Solutions, we've spent the last 18 years helping women like you make a life changing difference by becoming egg donors, giving hopeful parents one of the most precious gifts possible, the chance to grow their family. If you're healthy, between the ages of 21 and 28, and curious about how egg donation works, we'd love to support you. You can download our egg donor journey and compensation guide at createahappyfamily.com. You might be the missing piece in someone's family story. All right, let's get back to the show. Okay, now remind me, how old is your intended parent's daughter now?
She's 9 months. Yeah, 9 months.
She's 9
He's
months.
gonna get
Oh
mad
my.
at me for not knowing that. She's 9 months.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. Okay, so she's
Yeah.
9 months. As she's grown, and then as
Hmm.
you're thinking about, again, just those differences between, what
Hmm.
it was to be a birth mother and what it was to be an
Hmm.
egg donor. And she, maybe you're starting to see similarities between,
Hmm.
what you look like, or, just things like
Hmm.
that. Has that ever changed how you're viewing things? Or is it, again, just very much like friend's
Two
baby?
separate. Yeah, it really is. And I tell Zach that all the time. I'm like, it's just my best friend's baby. I just happen to be the egg donor. But yeah, it's the emotions are different. I do see similarities between her and my birth son and me, and it's fun to watch. But I've never like adoption. That was a loss. it was a great decision, best decision for me and him, but that was a loss. So there's always going to be that kind of like emotion behind it. Whereas the
Hmm.
egg donation was like a decision I chose to make.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's been so much fun watching her grow up and change, and like she's just so cute. I might be biased, but she's so cute.
I think we all say that about the babies in our lives.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
What do you wish people understood about donors and attachment? Because I know for me as a surrogate, that's like the number one question that I get is, like, how can you give up a baby? And I always
Yeah.
respond with, I'm not giving up, I'm giving back.
Mhm.
Was
Yeah.
never my baby.
I love
How
that
do
answer.
you as a donor,
Exactly.
like, what do you wish people understood from that donor perspective?
I think I wish people knew that like I don't want that baby. Like I love her. Like again, I love her. She's cute, she's precious. I don't want her. If I wanted a baby, I would go have a baby, you know?
Yeah.
Because I get the same question sometimes. Like I've had friends ask me, "Do you feel like motherly towards her, like some kind of like maternal instinct or like connection?" And I'm like, "No, because she's not my baby." So I wish people knew that. Like there have been comments from some people like she's gonna like you shouldn't invite her to come meet the baby, like she's gonna want to take the baby, and it's I've never wanted that, you know.
Yeah. How do you, when you see those comments and, how do you navigate those and how do your intended parents navigate those?
Really, you just gotta educate them and kill them with kindness, like, you know, just tell them she doesn't want the baby. I don't want that baby. I mean, I tell Zach that all the time. I'm like, love her to death, you can have her, like keep her.
Right? No, you can take like the 2
Yeah.
a.m. Like, I'm good. I'm going to
Yeah,
sleep.
that part, yeah. Like that's their baby, you know. It just happens to be part of my genetic material is what helped create her. So yeah. I
Yeah.
wish people got that more. That's probably like one of the number one things people ask me. It's like, do you feel maternal towards her? Like, do you want her? Like, did you want her?
Yeah. Your relationships with the families that you've helped create have been so meaningful. And
Hmm.
now you're actually preparing for a unidentified donation, which is a
Hmm.
different experience.
Totally.
What went into, that decision?
Um, that was again, it was kind of like with my first one where I got the text and it was pretty much a no-brainer for me. Like, of course, it was like, oh my gosh, am I really gonna do this? But at the same time, like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, of course. And then knowing what I know now and how much my donation meant to Zach and Scott and like seeing their little family and how much love there is, I'm really excited to do it again.
Yeah. Is there anything that feels different emotionally this time around?
Yeah, I was actually just talking about that the other day with Zach as like I think I feel more emotional this time because I do know Zach. So I'm like, as I'm going through all the steps, I'm telling Zach, and he's telling me how he experienced it going through our cycle, like his point of view as an intended parent. So I feel like I'm thinking about this new set of intended parents even more um, because I know Zach and Scott, and I'm like, wow, like they're probably really emotional right now, and they're probably anxiously waiting results, and they're probably really nervous, and this was probably a really hard decision for them. So, yeah, I think I feel more emotional this time because I know I've seen the impact of it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Has that changed how you're just entering, just this cycle with kind of having, because I think we all to some level know some of those things about, just when you're entering this world and,
Hmm.
in knowing what you're doing and it's going to have an impact. But like you said,
Hmm.
having now, a best friend and seeing the other side of it and listening to
Hmm.
somebody, talk about it in real
Yes.
time, has that changed at all kind of how you're going through just this cycle?
Maybe in some ways, like again, I'm just thinking about them through every step. Like they're just on my mind for even the little, like going to get my AMH drawn, or like I had my day 3 of my cycle ultrasound, and I'm thinking about them, and like I wonder what they're thinking, and I hope they're getting the results quick. I'm just, yeah, it's definitely more emotional and meaningful this time around, I think.
Hmm. Knowing that, again, you have such a close relationship with Zach
Hmm.
and Scott, and now, there's there's going to be a new donor sibling, out in the
Hmm.
world. Has that played, how are those conversations? Have they thought about that? What are
Hmm.
you thinking about that as you're, just going through all of this?
I think it's, it's pretty crazy to think about. My first call after I got that text was to Zach because I was like, I need to tell him. And they're really excited. I mean, anytime I talk to them about how they're feeling, they're just so excited for this new intended parent couple. And yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that's their daughter's gonna have a genetic half sibling. But yeah, I think they're excited for me and for them.
Yeah, for
Hmm.
sure. Having experienced, again, that close relationship with Zach and Scott, and then now
Hmm.
stepping into the unidentified cycle,
Hmm.
what would you want potential egg donors to understand about just both options?
Um, I mean, they're going to be very different. You don't know what you're going to get, you don't know how that relationship can or will evolve. So you kind of just have to go into it knowing that, like, I might not ever get contact with this new couple, or maybe I'll get very minimal contact. And you just have to, be okay with that and accept that and still, realize the impact of your donation. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, with that in mind, what do you think people misunderstand about a woman's motivation to be an egg donor?
I think a lot of people, of course, their first question is, well, how much money are you going to make? Or, people
Mhm.
immediately go there, like, how much did they pay you? So, um, and it's so much more than that. I mean, you're literally changing someone's life, you're helping
Yeah.
them create a family. And it's just so beautiful and like rewarding and like emotionally. And especially now that I get to see, actually witness the impact of it, like, it's so much more than a check.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I feel like that motivation always has to be there because you might, like you said, you might not see or hear, but you
Hmm.
have to know that you are making such a big impact. And yes, of course,
Right.
financially it's wonderful, but
Right.
at the end of the day, you have to have a good why.
Yes, exactly. And you just have to accept that, yeah, you might not get to get any updates, but you know that you still made that impact and you helped someone. So,
Yeah. Across, these donation journeys, now you're in the midst of one. What has kind of helped you feel respected and valued and supported as a donor?
yeah, for me it's the communication. It's, between the clinic and my coordinator,
Mhm.
the communication, knowing the next steps being explained to me, because yeah, I've done this before, but it feels like, I mean, it's almost been 2 years, so it feels like a long time ago.
Sure.
And I'm like, wait, is the AMH next, or do I have to do this? Like, am I doing a psych eval? Do I need to go to the doc? Like, it's, yeah, just having that communication and like organization has been really helpful, to know what's next, because I feel like and also this cycle is a traveling cycle where my first one was local, so that also changes things. That's been a little different. So just having that open line of communication with my clinics, both clinics, and my coordinator has been really helpful.
For sure. You have gone to socials and in such a beautiful way because I think I mean, you do a great job of educating and bringing, your personal experience to, so many people. What are maybe some of the main questions that you get, and what's kind of the go-to misinformation that you wish you could just totally dispel?
Um, Good question, and thank you for saying that. I think one of the most common questions people ask is like, how did you do it? Like, where did you go to do it? What website? How do I sign up?
So you got the luck of the draw of Google leading you, to
Yeah.
a reputable, place.
Yes.
What do you say to, people when they do ask you that question? How do you do it? Where do you start? What made you go
Hmm.
agency versus egg bank, and, just those
Yeah.
kinds of things?
Yeah, I research. I like again, you like you said, I think I got lucky because I don't know if I did much research, to be honest. I think I was just kind of like landed. I mean, I've done research since then, but when I originally signed up, I think I just got lucky and found you guys. But yeah, do your research and research egg bank versus agency because one might be better for you. You know, I think for me, I like the agency route. Of course, I haven't gone through an egg bank, but you know, weigh out the pros and cons and see which one feels right for you.
Yeah, for sure. Are there any other, just myths or misinformation that you feel like that you are wanting to, or have the ability to dispel, as you're using your
Yeah.
own platform and then just now
Mhm.
speaking, in the seat that you're sitting in?
A lot of people think that when you donate your eggs, you're donating all of your eggs and you can never have kids. And it's kind of funny because you're not. I wouldn't do this if that's what was going to happen. You know, I want kids one day. So that's one of the big like misconceptions I think is people thinking that like, oh, you can't have kids now. Um, and you can still have kids after donating.
Yeah, for sure. We actually there's it's Dr. Havbin who we've had on the podcast a couple of times. She's at RE at Dallas IVF and she has like the best way of describing what it is, like what egg donation is as
Oh,
far as like no. You have like millions of eggs and she like she uses like a whole like sports metaphor of like you're just
oh, I love
pulling
that.
out like everybody from the bench instead of just your one star player. And I'm like, "Yes, it's brilliant."
Oh, I love that. I love that explanation. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, but it is so interesting, kind of how not everybody has a full understanding of,
Mhm.
just the biology behind it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Have
mean, there's so much that goes into it. And, you know, I've learned a lot along my two journeys now. So there's so
yeah,
much that goes into it and there's so much to learn. And I just love the fertility world in general. Like, I love learning about that stuff. That's why I love talking about it. Like, it's just, I love it.
for sure. Have you felt like, just for you as a woman going through this, I feel like one of the main things that I hear, or one of the consistent things I hear whenever I'm speaking to egg donors is they do find out so much about their own health history and
Mhm.
just their own, fertility health in general.
Yeah, that was one of the bonuses to doing egg donation is you do get to find out those things. You know, you get your AMH, which is your ovarian reserve, and the ultrasounds and the genetic testing is a big one. That was really interesting for me because mine came back normal. I think I had one little thing that like was insignificant. But yeah, you get to do all the and then like the psychological evaluation. So it's not just the you know monetary compensation. You get to learn a lot about your body and your health, and that is a huge plus for me.
Yeah, for sure. If just for someone who is listening and wondering if a donation, could be right for them, what would you want them to know before they took that first step?
Mhm. I would want them to know that it can be so rewarding and beautiful, and it's worth it. It's so worth it.
Yeah. Was there anything that maybe surprised you in the best way?
I think my relationship with my intended parents for sure. I mean, it's got
Yeah.
to be that. I never expected this.
Mm. When you are thinking about those families that you've helped and just the role that you've played, what is the type of just feelings that you get and, what maybe brings you the most fulfillment?
I think it's the best way to describe it is just like overwhelming, but in a good way, like just happiness and like it is very fulfilling and like what really makes me feel fulfilled is like seeing the parents with their children. Like it's just so it's like this is what they wanted and they're so happy and like all the little moments, you know, like going to a soccer game or like she started crawling or she's making this silly face or like you know all those small moments it's just like yes this is amazing this is so beautiful.
Yeah, you helped someone make memories.
Hmm.
Yeah. For, again, your experience, is there any advice that you would want to give to any potential or current egg donors?
Hmm. A good piece of advice would be to like advocate for yourself, ask questions. I think this time around, since I kind of am familiar with the process, I've been asking more questions because I kind of know what to expect, and I know more about it. And so I want more information. I want to be, I don't know how to word it. I just ask questions, like it's okay to be curious. And it is like, yes, you're doing this for someone else, but you are the one donating your eggs. You're the one going through all the screenings and the doctor's appointments and the medication. So like ask questions. If something doesn't feel right or something isn't working, like speak up.
Yeah. What are maybe just like some go-to questions that you would suggest a donor?
Ask about, the timeline, the medications, appointments. There's so much that goes into it. Like when you're actually doing the stems and the medications, there's so many appointments. So
Mhm.
yeah, just really anything you can do to be prepared for all of it that goes into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
It is a situation where you don't just, you have the ability to not just blindly follow and, say yes,
Hmm.
but exactly like you said, be curious.
Hmm.
And it is
Yeah.
really helpful when you do have not only the clinic, but also a coordinator.
Yes, absolutely. Because sometimes the clinic can be, I love my clinics, all the clinics I've used
Yeah.
so far, but sometimes they don't explain things as well, maybe as the coordinator would. They'll send me results and I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Like, I need someone to explain this to me.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. I mean, it's a world of acronyms, so you don't know what you don't
yeah,
know.
oh my gosh, there's so many acronyms. There's so
For
many.
sure. Oh my gosh. No, I think that's beautiful. And I mean, I think that's just across the board in general, whether you're an intended parent, a surrogate or a donor, especially in the world of medicine, it is okay to ask questions and there
Yes.
is no dumb question.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well,
Hmm.
Morgan, I mean, truly, your journeys are just so beautiful, and I mean, you
Hmm.
have blessed so many families, and I'm so excited for you and
Thank
this
you.
journey, and how you're just going to continue to just help change so many lives. And I just feel so honored that we get to work with you and that I
Hmm.
get to talk to you. I have one last question for you, and it's a fun one.
Okay.
For anyone who knows me, they know that me and coffee are never far from each other. And so I always love to ask the question, what has filled your cup? Literally or figuratively, what has been the thing that has filled your cup?
Ooh, okay. Coffee this morning for sure, if
Always.
we're going literal. And then just the holidays, the Christmas decorate. I'm looking at my Christmas tree right now. Like I love this time of year. And then for specifically today, the Taylor Swift Eras Tour docu-series is what's filling my cup. As soon as we're done here, I'm putting that on the TV.
Girl, yes. Girl, yes. My 13-year-old like came downstairs and was like, I only get to watch like 10 minutes of it, but I have to.
Oh,
It's like, great,
yeah,
let's do it.
right. Oh,
I
yes.
love it. That's amazing. Well, seriously, Morgan, thank you so much for your time and thank you just for all you've done and all you're doing.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. This was so fun.
Good. Yay. This podcast is powered by Egg Donor and Surrogate Solutions. If you're exploring egg donation or surrogacy and want support that's ethical, transparent, and focused on the whole journey, you can learn more at createahappyfamily.com. Whenever you're ready, we're here to support you.